Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sara Kelly and I'm an ADHD mindset coach, and I help women with ADHD, specifically late diagnosed, around everything mindset and the isms that go along with having ADHD. Today I want to do something a little bit different. I know that when I got diagnosed with ADHD, up until that point and, a little while into my diagnosis, felt very, very alone, almost like I was on my own island, because I knew that everything was just a little bit harder for me in certain aspects of my life than neurotypical peers, kids I went to school with, people that I worked with. And I really felt alone. Why am I always the one who's late? Why am I disorganized? Why do I feel overwhelmed so easily? Why do I have this underlying depression and anxiety and this fight or flight in me that really never goes away? It wasn't until I was 44 years old that I was formally diagnosed with ADHD. And like many other late diagnosed women with ADHD, I found out when I started taking a deep dive into my kids' formal diagnosis. So today I want to take just a little bit of time to read through some of the comments that I've had on various social media platforms that I'm on. Just like myself, I'm sure that there are other women out there who feel very, very alone in their diagnosis. And when it comes to ADHD and late diagnosis, we think that we're the only ones that have this until we realize that we have ADHD. And I have the privilege of talking to a lot of women. So today, the point of this video is to help make you feel, as an ADHDer, whether you're formally diagnosed or self-diagnosed, less alone in the world, because I think that you'll see the trends in a lot of our experiences really are parallel to each other. Subscribe to my channel and like this video. By liking this video and commenting, you will push this video out to more people in the algorithm so that more women with ADHD feel not so alone. I've always been called the Daydreamer. I definitely have ADHD, but she's never been diagnosed. I know that a lot of times with ADHD, our male counterparts usually present as more that hyper little boy, which is probably why they were more diagnosed in childhood than adulthood. Plenty of women have combined ADHD. For anybody who doesn't know, there's inattentive ADHD, there's hyperactive ADHD, and then there's combined inattentive and hyperactive. Not every woman who has the combined or the hyperactive presentation of ADHD is going to be bouncing off the walls, though this is very possible, and a lot of those females were diagnosed in their adolescence. For me, I am combined ADHD, but my hyperpresentation is in that my brain never shuts off. I'm constantly thinking about things, almost swirling on one thing, onto the next thing. I remember when I was in university, I would be studying, which university was so difficult for me. And all of a sudden I would find myself painting my toenails and then putting in a load of laundry and then putting coffee in the microwave that I would forget about and not get out. It wasn't that I was jumping off the walls, that my brain was working so quickly. Don't forget to do this. You need to do this. You need to do that. So Donna's, daydreaming response definitely resonates with me, because I feel like as a young ADHD or undiagnosed, I spent a ton of time living in my head and missing the world externally passing me by because I was so caught within my own thoughts. Now, Pam writes, had my son assessed when he was 14. Then I was like, wait a minute, I had myself assessed at 48 years old. It was a huge aha moment and explained so much of my entire life. I'm now 61 and still struggle with validation. I'm the baby of 4 and the only one with ADHD, and she feels like her parents definitely don't have it. This parallels to my story very, very closely. When I got diagnosed with ADHD, it was because I took a deep dive with my kids. And for me, the relief of having ADHD was massive, although I did go through a mourning period as well too, as to where could I be right now if I had only known. Secretly, I thought that I was getting early onset dementia or Alzheimer's. I was very, very forgetful. I would feed my dog breakfast twice sometimes. I would forget to take vitamins. I would forget appointments. And so I was so scared that I was starting to get dementia or Alzheimer's. For me, finding out that I had ADHD and that working memory and short-term memory issues were an issue for ADHDers was a huge relief. Elizabeth says, my psychiatrist told me that my description of my dad sounded like ADD. I wish I could have connected the dots and saved myself 30 years of misdiagnosis with depression, OCD, bipolar, and anxiety. And I think that, so many people with ADHD and also people who are autistic do get misdiagnosed with OCD, depression, anxiety, borderline personality disorder, being accused of being narcissists in some aspects as well. And, it's because the DSM, in my opinion, is so directed towards cis, white, straight little boys. They miss out on colored folk, queer folks, and females. And it's not only ADHD and ASD that gets misdiagnosed. There are so many things in medical, publications that are geared towards males. Even things like the symptoms of a heart attack manifest very differently in females than they do in males. Let me know in the comments what your ADHD story is and if any of these stories that I'm reading to you resonate with you. Now, Michelle writes, I was thrilled to get my diagnosis at the age of 50. It explained a lot. And I no longer live in shame for the behavior and actions done while undiagnosed and thinking there was something wrong with me. I view my diagnosis as an eye-opener and validation that my brain just works differently, and it has made a huge difference in me. I think that Michelle's point of view with her diagnosis is amazing. And if you are late diagnosed with ADHD and you're, going through this mourning period, it's totally normal. But don't forget to look at the fact that, now that you have ADHD, knowledge is power. There are systems that you can use and tactics that you can implement to lean into how your brain works so that you don't feel so debilitated by your ADHD. And the last one that I will read is from Jen, and then I am going to invite you into a community, especially if you're female, late diagnosed with ADHD, and you don't feel like you have community already. So let's get into Jen's comment here. I didn't get diagnosed until 30. I'm a teacher, and I vividly, as an undergrad in an education class, reading about ADHD and saying to the person next to me, this is complete BS. This describes me perfectly, yet I don't have ADHD. Slowly over the years, I started to notice how it didn't describe other people, but it wasn't until a fellow teacher mentioned that the mom of a student realized she had ADHD after her son got diagnosed that I thought that there was something I could do about it. I thought it was a childhood only thing. I had no idea that I could seek help as an adult, never got the help I needed as a child. These stories really hit home for me. They really make me feel like I am part of a community and that I'm not so alone. And I think, for me, the ADHD diagnosis has made me feel not so alone. Yes, there's the mourning period. Yes, there's the where could I be right now had I known that I had ADHD as a child. I personally had a ton of trouble in school. My processing, I have delayed processing, so reading comprehension was a huge problem for me. I was always really poor in math, though never diagnosed with dyscalculia. And learning that I have ADHD now and then building community in places like LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok has absolutely given me the validation that I need to not feel so alone as an ADHDer. I happen to have a no sales nonsense free Facebook group specifically for people identifying as female who are late diagnosed with ADHD. If you have ADHD and you're like me and feeling a little bit alone in your diagnosis, wondering if the isms about you are normal as an ADHDer or perhaps, not so normal, the community that I am building and that I have built is all about validation and care, please click the link and request to join it, and I'll let you in right away. I also have a complimentary masterclass going over the 5 pillars to creating lasting change if you have ADHD and you struggle with your self-esteem, and that link is in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I really had a good time going through memory lane and reading all of these comments from women like you, and thank you so much for supporting this channel, supporting me on other platforms. Having ADHD is very, very lonely, and because of you, I feel less alone in the world. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.